all, and you can tell.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly. You know.
welcome into tonight's edition of Beyond the Buzzer. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You may not recognize Danny Thompson missing tonight, or maybe you do. He's on assignment, or that's what we like to say, anyways. Here, but I'm going to go ahead and bring him before we do all the necessary other shout outs and stuff, because this is a big deal. Listen, for you non-believers, you might see him out on Facebook as somebody else, but I know him as BP. I come to you from the confines of the Kumo, bringing you the man from the shores of the St. John's, regularly paying his homage for king and country, as he put it earlier, being the sports reporter for Captain and Company in the Morning, a production I am involved with at least once a week. And of course, you'll know him in the Jacksonville area as the host of Backyard Rock on 98.9. Listen, give it up for my man BP. Welcome aboard, brother. How you doing?
From the shores of the St. John's, we greet you at the confines of the Kumo, bringing that intro and a little bit of grape drink for your Monday night. So many things to talk about already this week in the sports world. And, of course, we all know what the top story is in the NFL, NASCAR, all that nonsense. Listen, I will be guided by your hand today, because normally I'm calling the shots of the sports report, but I am fit to be second fiddle right now. I'm happy about that.
Hey, listen, I assume that's what the wine meant, is like, I ain't got to carry that burden.
Nope, not till tomorrow morning.
What happens when you're the host? You finish your wine before the damn show. Anyway.
Oh no, we can't. I'm spoiled rotten with Thirsty Thursday. You got to drink them up, drink them down, smoke them if you got them, et cetera, et cetera. So a small plug for our friends down there at oldschool101.com over in Winter Park. But no, man, I appreciate you calling on me, and happy to pitch relief here. Anytime, man. It's always fun to be out in front of a studio audience of sorts and talking sports. It's my other love when I'm not out backing my head in the scene doing rock music, which we all can't do right now because the bars are closed.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other conversation. But hey, listen, of course, you know, as per usual, Beyond the Buzzer is brought to you by the folks at Mentality Barbershop. Normally, I could show off Danny Thompson's lusciously shiny chrome dome, as done by Corey and Company at one of the best barbershop in Central Florida, but he's not here. He's on assignment, like I said. So throw shouts there. And listen, stop in there. Even if you're there with your buddy getting your hair cut, like I did with Danny Thompson one time, we had a good 45-minute conversation on Evan Fournier. That should tell you how much fun these cats have with you while you're cutting your hair. I'm just gonna throw that out there. You know. And of course, you gotta go ahead though. Go BP. Yeah.
I kind of need a quarantine cut, actually, so I might need to fix that soon.
You're in town. We'll throw you out. Mentality. It's all good, man. Listen, he was nice to me. I don't see why he wouldn't take care of you. I'll put it that way.
No. Listen, find good people, use good people. That's right.
Hey, I think that's the whole reason we're talking tonight. But we could go off on another tangent in a second. Before I forget, let's bring in the group that made Danny Thompson's not working smoke alarm famous, the beep beep of Fowler, giving hot beats for since you don't know that, there it is, Bobby. Thompson saw that, and if he doesn't, I'm going to show it to him on Facebook.
That's awesome. Here, let me shut off the phone there, blabbering in the back. Speaking of beeps going off.
Yeah, right. No, I don't know if you know the story, BP, but like from his apartment, his landlord has yet to take care of the battery in his smoke detector. So we'll be doing the show with an occasional beep. But hey, Valor Music is so good at representation and getting your beats right and your social media going that we're pretty sure that Danny Thompson's smoke alarm is going to get a Grammy. So that's what we're working on here, BP. That's where that comes from, just so you know. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, listen, if the smoke alarm makes it big, I'll put in a good word. He'll open one of your rock shows. I'm telling you, Chief. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, you know what? We could probably do him, a little heavy riff, key of B, I guess, maybe. We'll work with it.
Why not?
Listen, I've heard worse.
Well, that's a whole other topic, man. That's part of life, doing the local music scene. I get it, man. But
that's true.
Let's go ahead and get into it. Listen, with Valor's segment asking what's the buzz, listen here. If you don't know what the buzz is, check Facebook, pay attention. If you don't know, ask somebody. Cam Newton, the Superman himself, officially in a position to, air quotes, replace the Golden Boy in New England as the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Now, with me, BP, when I heard about Brady going to Tampa himself, I thought it was fake. This one, I mean, what was your reaction?
Well, my reaction was he could have gone to Jacksonville, but they sure as hell didn't bite on it. Um, Listen, okay, so I have mixed feelings about this one. Okay, um, the the New England Patriots, I guess they felt they needed a quarterback. I guess so, because you've got, Stidham waiting in the wings. I mean, Cam is going to have to compete for a starting job
Mhm.
anyway. I mean, you don't just walk into Bill Belichick's camp and say, no, I'm going to be the starter. All right. You might have been able to pull that off if you were RG3. You might have been able to pull that off if you were Jameis Winston when he was drafted. But you're not going to pull this off with a seasoned veteran going into a Super Bowl championship program that had, decades of dynastic dominance is the word I'm trying to use. Words are hard. You're trying to get him to the point where, this franchise now, by Patriot standards, is in recovery.
Mhm.
They're in rebuild mode right now. If you can believe it, the Patriots are actually trying to find a centerpiece to go on right now. I mean, first it was Brady leaving the building. Goodbye, see you later, so long, and thanks for all the fish, right? And the rings to go with it. But that was one dagger in the back. Now, Gronk leaves too and goes with him to Tampa Bay, the ultimate salt in the wound insult. So what do you do as your second act? You bring in a quarterback that's nothing like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
My
I'm
biggest
like that.
my biggest question, I'm sorry. My biggest question is, what will Bill Belichick do with Cam Newton? Because he's not your prototypical NFL quarterback. He's not a drop back passer. He's Superman. He's got mobility. Let's flash back to the college days. Let's flash back to Auburn. What made Cam Newton great and Gus Malzahn's offense was the fact that he could move inside the pocket. He could run tempo. Belichick's going to have a new ace in the hole. That's provided he can step up to the plate, learn the system, and get the starting job. But if that happens, the Patriots are either going to be really good or really bad at this point for the first season until Cam adjusts. It's 50-50 right now, man.
That's a lot of that is how I feel, but I'll see that and I'll raise you a couple things here, Chief. Like, for one, the one thing I think that Cam Newton's going to get that he couldn't get in Carolina is a better offensive line. Now, let's not go crazy. The Pats just recently lost a good offensive line coach, okay? But their staff, I don't think is worse on the offensive line than they are in Carolina's, right? I love how you brought up the fact that there's actual mobility with Tom Brady. So what I think, or rather with Cam Newton replacing Tom Brady, I think there's the opportunity for coordinators to be so used to preparing to stop the pass against this team that they kind of forget over the past, let's just call it 20 years to round it up, that you've been preparing for the pass so long, you're going to forget that, Cam Newton's back there able to run a bit and do some things and break some tackles. But give the Patriots organization credit. They protect the quarterback well. That's where I think that's kind of what Cam bought into, other than, great front office and all that, right? Great franchise. You mentioned earlier these other quarterbacks who weren't going to get their way. It wasn't so much that the quarterbacks weren't, good rookie prospects in their own right. Hell, I still blame Mike Shanahan for RG3's eventual demise by putting him back into that playoff game after he scored that touchdown against the Seahawks. I said it. But at the end of the day, you're not strong-arming Mike Shanahan with the ownership behind you. You're not stepping into whatever the situation was in Tampa where Jameis Winston jumps in. That's not what's happening there. Belichick is campaigning for the best coach of all time in the NFL. And I see a Go Steelers shout out there. Listen, if you're a Steelers fan, I think the Pats are going to lose this one this year. I'm going to throw that out there to you.
The New England fans are already chomping at the bit now. Like, I had this conversation with my brother earlier today. It's like, well, go ahead and start writing the Roger Goodell Super Bowl narrative now, Pats Bucks, which I think is absolute malarkey at this point. There is no proving ground whatsoever that says, number one, the Patriots are going to go back to the playoffs or beat the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. Now, if the Kansas City Chiefs lose to the Patriots in a playoff scenario, it's not going to be on the arm or legs of Cam Newton. It'll probably be a field goal that'll do them in because Andy Reid's defense, even though they've got one of the most high-powered offenses in the league right now, their defense is still very porous, and they allow way too many defensive, just too many defensive miscues, in my opinion, to absolutely say, no, this is going to be the greatest team of the next 10 years. One of the greatest offenses of the next 10 years? Absolutely. If Patrick Mahomes can stay healthy, the longer Travis Kelce stays in, if they can keep pushing the speed on the outside that they have in the past, and Kansas City will be deadly. So I don't think the Patriots are going to have, it's not going to be a Super Bowl season for them straight out the gate. Playoff season, most definitely. They've got the talent remaining to do that. I don't think Tampa Bay, if Tampa Bay is going to be Tampa Bay, so long as Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. Bottom line, you play a team in the sombrero, they're going to be Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady, Gronkowski notwithstanding, it's Tampa. And, will they have the Super Bowl era of Chucky? God, we would love to, because it'd be nice to see a team other than, the 49ers or the Vikings or something like that represent the NFC. But honestly speaking, don't write the Tampa Bay New England script yet. Let's see about the first third of the season before we start calling anything close to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, all that's strong too. And I really got to thinking about it though. Help me here, BP. Can you think of another truly mobile quarterback that's even taken the reins in New England, not named Jacoby Brissett?
No, you can't. I mean, because, it's Bill Belichick kind of went with if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. And one of the things that I think that Cam will bring to the table is, using that offensive line to block. Yes, that is an improvement, but they're going to have to change the offense. They're going to have to balance it out a little more. Belichick's not known for running a spread offense. Yeah, he'd put Brady in the gun when he needed to, but this is not a spread style offense where you open up the playbook and then you kind of pass to set up run in that respect. Or, Cam sits back as a third or fourth running back option, like he did in Carolina. It's not going to be the same at first. So there is going to be a learning curve if that's the case. But I think where New England has an opportunity is to use an offensive, juggernaut per se, like Cam Newton, who can do more than one thing, and start leveraging the tight ends more. The question is, who's going to replace Rob Gronkowski?
There you go.
At that point, to be the marquee tight end that, because New England doesn't have a Travis Kelce or a Gronk or anything, or a Luke Kuechly anymore. Luke Kuechly's not even playing anymore. So who is going to be Cam Newton's tight end target if he can't reach the outside receivers or win on the run? Who's his outlet?
Yeah, he doesn't have Greg Olsen anymore. That's a fact. And well, see, here's the one way I think it'll work, right? For all my criticism of Tom Brady as a young quarterback, I think that recipe exists to allow Cam to succeed, right? So what I'm speaking to specifically is when he was younger, they were more dependent on the run. And once they didn't have a, let's say, successful running back core, right, they would have situations where a lot of bubble screens, basically Tom Brady's passing yards would still be incredibly large, but it would be because their run game was not so much a run game where you would traditionally hand off, but rather those screens would be what I would refer to back in my inaugural student of the game days, long handoffs, right? So it's a screen pass, but it's really a long handoff. And I really think that that's the kind of thing where Cam Newton could be utilized well. And on top of everything else, BP, they don't have a deep threat to speak of. Now, maybe they got some burning rookie they'll come out with. Who knows? I got nothing there for you. But what I can tell you is there is success in the past with the Patriots with a young Tom Brady who wasn't world beating yet. And listen, say what you will about Troy Brown, until they got Dante Branch, they didn't really have a deep threat back then either, and were still dangerous. And defense in New England always seems to take care of itself. I mean, Rob Ninkovich, I'm not sure he'd have been great anywhere else, but as a member of the New England Patriots, he was a world beater because he was a hard worker and he knew how to do his damn job. I think that'll be enough, especially with the playoffs expanding a single spot, to get the Patriots into the playoffs. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing you can count on, too, in New England is a solid defense. In fact, you can count on them having a solid team all around. the questions will remain, of course, on the offensive side of the ball because, as you and I know, the NFL is a passing league, and Cam Newton is not known to be just a passer. So how many holes will they fill in the run game? Will they start mixing it up? I mean, I'm intrigued by Cam going to New England.
Yeah.
But what the questions that I have is, will he win that starting job because he's Cam Newton? Will he win that starting job outright because of what he brings to the table? Or will Belichick go back to vanilla old Bill Belichick and run his offense tried and true? Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's the biggest thing. But I think the tremendous advantage that you have with a quarterback who can move is that offensive line, they're going to have to work.
Well, and one could argue in some ways it's a little easier because it's a little less precise. But if you're dealing with a mobile quarterback, listen, I'll tell you from experience, Fatty's got to work harder with a mobile quarterback. But like something I want to go to, you mentioned tried and true and boring involving Jarrett Stidham. Like, I like that you went there because whenever I say his name, I always picture Wayne from Wayne's World being like, "Hi, I'm from Delaware. Hi, the quarterback is Jarrett Stidham." Like that those two things. See, you agree. I see the nod. I'm glad we're on video so people could see the waving nod of your Corona hair.
Yes, the fro that is growing on the top of my head, the chia pet that is Rockman 89's hair.
Listen, I talk trash. I'm wearing a hat. Shoot.
Yeah, I know. I almost wore one too. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to wear the sombrero or the Seuss hat. But anyway, no, it's going to be interesting, And on the flip side of that, now that we've kind of stated our case for Cam, how are the Patriots going to live with the varnish or the tarnish, as it will, of saying, "Hey, you got your cameras on, buddy, but you can't use them no more. Let's pay that $1 million fine." And then, that 3rd round draft pick goes away in 2021. So, that's already going to, it's New England. They're not really going to be damaged by this per se. But, honestly, Cam Newton's going to be, first he's leaving a team that cut him loose after 9 solid seasons, some playoffs. He had success in Carolina. He really did. And that was such a bittersweet departure for him. But now he's going to a franchise that essentially is now playing second fiddle to the Kansas City Chiefs and is still dealing with the sting of what the equivalent of NCAA sanctions are. Here's a fine, and here's this, and this guy gets, banned from all NFL things, but you have to live with that stink now. So Cam's going to damaged goods for all intents and purposes. When I first heard it, I'm like, New England? Seriously? Of all the teams to go to, New England? Uncle Paulie says the prime rib is great in the media room at Gillette, but that's all I know about it. So,
Hey, and listen, I give shouts to John there. He's talking about them grasping at straws. They listen. I don't think anyone has said this since the early 90s or late 80s, but they got to do something to keep up with Buffalo, I suppose, especially in that division as it's made up now, right? But let me add this. There's a couple pop quizzes I want to throw at you. I'm the student of the game. That's kind of my gimmick, and I'm hosting the show tonight, so I can do that. First of all, pop quiz. Bigger slight to the man, okay? Steve McNair and the Titans having to go to the Ravens, or Cam Newton having gotten booted by the Panthers, unable to find a job and landing in New England. Which quarterback was most slighted as he was asked to leave the room, so to speak? Steve McNair or Cam Newton?
Steve McNair.
I agree.
Yeah, Cam doesn't feel slighted. Cam doesn't feel slighted at all. And John, I agree. Their defense will carry them because that's going to be the difference. And there's too many questions at offense. But
this year too, not for nothing.
Yeah. Well, and the defense carried them, through the playoffs, except they ran into the juggernaut that was Patrick Mahomes. And when the Patrick Mahomes light goes off, everybody stand back and watch the fireworks. And this is the part where Jim Nantz starts dancing in his box and Tony Romo saying all these glorious things about Andy Reid, blah, blah, blah. Defense will carry it. That's not a problem. And I don't think the Patriots are playing in a division where defense alone wouldn't get them very far. That's honest. But no, I honestly don't think that Cam Newton is slighted by all that. Upset, maybe a little sour grapes. Yeah, but look what he got in return. Seriously. He walked into a dynasty and has a chance to continue that dynasty. I don't think Steve McNair really had that going for him. So
no, at all. And like I say, they kept they asked Steve McNair to not work out at the facility just on the outside chance he might get hurt. At least you can argue against Cam about his injuries. Now, I didn't as very well. And listen, I'll give Danny Thompson credit. Danny, before he was on assignment, did say something about the Pats getting Cam. I said no way. I didn't think it was a fit. It was up there. I say it's up there with Ocho Cinco going to New England, but at least it happened. I got to give him that much credit.
That's true.
Yeah, but the last pop quiz I'll give you here, BP, before we go on here is see, this is what happens now. I just lost it. Darn it. But the situation. Oh yeah, here's what it is. Let's say you're Cam Newton. We go back in the time machine. It's Friday. You haven't been signed yet by the Pats. Allegedly, the only other phone call he got was from the Cleveland Browns. Which two of these teams do you sign with?
New England.
Okay, so you asked how
New England. No, without a question. Is Baker Mayfield owns Cleveland right now. You're not going to get anybody to get out of the way. I don't care if you're Cam Newton. I don't care if Bo Jackson comes out of retirement and starts playing quarterback all of a sudden. Baker Mayfield is Cleveland's quarterback, hands down. He's the alpha dog, pun intended, in Cleveland. So, yes, I would have definitely signed with New England. So what you're trying to say is even if it's Bo, you'd side with New England, and if you don't know diddly. Right, exactly. Just exit the stadium, sir. Exit the stadium at the end zone, left side.
I dropped the mic, but we got more show to do.
I know, right? Mine's attached. I can't drop it.
I can lift it, but I mean, now I'm just trying to use effects. Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
So, let me go into the next thing here. The thing I wanted to kind of bring to the attention is actually the AFC East division, and I'm probably talking about this a little bit later in the show too. The AFC East division now, at one point, you could probably pretty clearly say that New England was at the bottom of the quarterback tree in that division, and now it can be argued that they're elevated back to the top, or at least 1B. From that standpoint, you got to like what the Patriots are trying to do there to compete in the division and get back to the playoffs. I mean, you put it this way. This is a rebuilding year for an entitled New England Patriot fan base, and they still might make the playoffs. Doesn't that tell you all you need to know for why he went there? I mean,
yeah, it does. And entitled fan base, yes, they are. Spoiled, rotten brats, they are. But unfortunately, they have a point. I mean, it's like an Alabama fan. Alabama fans are spoiled, rotten, loud-mouthed, blabbity. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Alabama. Meh. I was glad when Dabo did what he did and started beating on Alabama, because you can tell the SEC to kiss my ACC. But seriously, and I say that as a proud graduate of Florida State University. But anyway, and even though my team's at the bottom of the barrel, we've been in a rebuilding year for the last 10, it seems. But bottom line, the New England Patriots fans have a point. They have the rings to back it up. So, yes, they may be entitled, and they could still make the playoffs because they still have a lot of the pieces of the puzzle there. It's not that Tom Brady leaving the building was the end of the world. According to them, it was. Right. Like, according to their fan base, Tom Brady, once the GOAT went out to pasture, that's it. We're done. Just tell Belichick to sign his retirement paperwork now. No, that's not true. And when you go back to the fact that they're in a division right now with the likes of Buffalo and the Jets, the hapless New York Jets, who can't, I feel bad for all my Jets fan friends that live up here that, well, good luck, y'all. I mean, it's just going to be another juggernaut. It's different quarterbacks, same problem. You're not going to beat New England. But I think the wild card in that division right now, no pun intended, it could be Miami. Yeah. What will Miami do in the division this year? If Tua actually gets under center and starts playing. Again, lots of questions there. Tua wasn't drafted per se to start in Miami. He's getting the old red shirt treatment, as it will, because he's technically still healing. But what impact will Tua bring? Because now, if you put Cam Newton at the Patriots helm and Tua at the Miami Dolphins helm, now you've got more than one mobile quarterback in that division that defenses are going to have to prepare for. And that's going to kind of be what the Wildcat was when it was briefly popular in the NFL. It'll be a trend, because now Andy Reid's been successful doing it in Kansas City, but that's the AFC West. They hadn't been a contender in the AFC West for a long time. Oakland's been, Las Vegas. It tells you how much I care about the Raiders.
Hey, the stadium's gonna look great, BP.
Yeah, well, you see the flag behind me, but whatever team in LA is playing this week, Chargers, Rams, whoever they are, the ones that are in our division, and then of course, the Broncos, which the poor Denver, all the success they had for the longest time, and then that's the same thing. But I think you're gonna start seeing that become prevalent again. With more mobile quarterbacks, it's offenses are going to change a little bit. The defenses are going to have to adapt, and the running backs are probably just going to sit there and go, well, what do we do now? Block, I guess. It's just, and the tight ends are going to be cash money now because with a mobile quarterback, a tight end's going to be an effective blocker, but they're also going to be that effective valve to go to over the middle, or in the case of Travis Kelce, who's got tremendous hands, who can go deep. So it's going to depend on, what Belichick decides to do, if he starts him or not. Hey, but I think so. I think he will.
You're talking great. You're talking great tight ends. Listen, I'm a Niners fan. Kittle me this, BP. That's what I was asking. Oh, and John, I was going to go there too when I jump back in. Yeah, give Josh Allen his due. He's pretty mobile as well. I'm going to give him his credit that he can move around a little bit. And hey, listen, not for nothing. Going 7-6 during a season where you can track mono, give Sam Darnold a little credit. But to your point, he's got no help there either. Listen, I like what you're throwing down, and I'll tell you this. Even though people want to be all like, Miami was 5-11 last year, and Kyle's just saying this because he covered the team. Covering the team doesn't make me a fan. Let's be clear. Before I started writing for the Dolphins Wire, I would regularly make fun of the Dolphins because they're some of my buddies' favorite teams. So I got to get that trash talk in. But I say all that to say this. Anybody else notice what happened when Tannehill got protection in Miami? They won games. And then when Tannehill got protection away from Miami and Tennessee and some run support, they toppled Tom Brady in his latest playoff run. Anybody else want to talk about that? I'm going to later anyway. So, but
I'm sure you will. Well, you could say the same thing in Jacksonville. Line play makes all the difference, and if you have a good line protecting your quarterback, which is one of that's what always made Tom Brady beatable. Because Tommy didn't like to be on his butt. Tommy didn't like to see the grass from ground level, and if you did that, you frazzled him. That's why the line got so good, because he probably went into a corner of the locker room, threatened their livelihoods, their second children, and a couple of $1 million, and said, y'all better start blocking. So, but all that being said, that's, hyperbole at best. But, that's what made Tom Brady the quarterback that he was, no matter where he was, is that he had good line play. So, that's true anywhere. But, the challenge is going to be now, will that line translate into a new era? Big question,
That's perfect, man. Hey, listen, I had only asked you for a half hour, but if you want to stay with me for the next segment, man, come on aboard if you want. It's up to you.
Let's ride.
Cool, man. So, it's interesting. We had mentioned Cam Newton and Tom Brady, and their swapping of teams. And it's very interesting how the dynamics of the AFC East and the NFC South have both changed because of these movements. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about Miami a little bit later, but let's transition to the NFC South for a bit, right? So when it came to Tampa, you had Jameis Winston, who really, listen, I'm not a Bucs fan, but I got people who are, and really on Facebook, I'm giving them that little virtual hug emoji, right? You can't feel it, but it's really there, I promise. Like how close the Bucs looked like that they were going to turn the corner, sneak their way into the playoffs without a cheap extra playoff spot being put in for them, like it's some random baseball wild card game. I said it. And now they went from being, oh, okay, well, I don't know what we're going to do without Jameis to, oh, that guy, So, right? On the turn of a dime, like I think it's pretty safe to still say that Drew Brees is the best quarterback in that division for now. But you went from having turnover machine Jameis Winston to possibly the best quarterback in the division today. Not saying that Drew Brees is a better career. Settle down, people. and then Matt Ryan third, and well, Teddy Bridgewater, who we'll talk about later. That you went basically, and I'm sure Bucs fans would even argue that they have the best quarterback in the division. What with Drew Brees' tendency lately to trail off late in the year. I can't think of a time off the top of my head that the Bucs had a candidate for best quarterback in the division. Can you give me something like that, BP?
Not in a long time. I mean, they had some great fullbacks. You're in good hands with Allstott. So, I mean, seriously, I don't really remember quarterback play being notable with the exception of maybe Vinny Testaverde. That's honestly, that's the only Tampa Bay quarterback of note that I remember, and I'm a Florida native. So that should tell you something. Let
me get in real quick, BP. You know how I knew we would get the host to comment himself? By having to realize how overrated Matt Ryan is, having no business getting as much respect as he gives him. And he can't say anything about it right now because he's not here.
Well, I'll say this much. I mean, Matty Ice has been anything but consistent. It's honestly, when you're competing in a division like this now, you might as well go ahead and put Matty in third place and just leave him there because, I mean, Tom Brady
talking trash.
Yeah. Tom Brady just jumping in there, just taking all over the first place votes, like it's the AP poll or something. Oh, stop it with this nonsense. Tom Brady is a good quarterback, but this is the first new team that he's played for in how many years? Listen, all the Bucs fans are on the tops of the cannon shooting off the rooftops. People in, Ybor City are plastered. Not that they can go to the bars now, but, seriously, no. This is Drew Brees' year. This is it. I think this is the year where Drew makes his final swan. He's going to go out like Peyton Manning. He's going to go in, do what he's going to do, drop a hat, and it's adios amigos. I don't think he's going to hang around too much longer. Drew Brees is on a ticking time bomb right now, and that's his health and his age.
Correct.
The one thing that's keeping Tom Brady going right now is his health and his diet and his workout plan. Right. But even Tom Brady's on a ticking time clock. He's 42 years old. He's not going to do this forever, and he's in a much different division now. I mean, pardon the expression, but they're not exactly going to be candy asses about it when he plays in Tampa Bay. He's got a bullseye on the back of his head, and there are people that are coming for him. And like I said, Tommy don't like the dirt, and he's probably going to see it a little bit more in this division than he did elsewhere. But I honestly think that the Saints are going to win the division, barring any ridiculous pass interference calls. Let's not get started on that again. Thank God they took that away because Sean Payton will be complaining for the next 10 years, But yeah, this is it. Now, runner-up in the division, probably Tampa Bay, or it's going to be between Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I think those two, are going to be trailing each other. But then again, it could go. Who knows? But honestly, I think this is Drew Brees' season, and it's his time to deal with at this point. And while Tom is going to spend a year adjusting. And John also makes a great point. When's the last time Tom Brady played home games consistently in the earlier part of the season in 95-degree heat and 200% humidity?
When's the last time he played exceptionally well in that same heat and humidity? I'm sure some stat geek can do that, but I'll go with Kurt on this one earlier. Like, he and I disagreed about some stuff with the Cowboys last week, but he's back to talk about the Saints winning the division. Hey, I'm there with you. I think the Saints will win the division, but what I think what will happen with Brees is the same thing that happened in 2018 rather than 19. Listen, nobody wants to see Drew Brees get injured ever, or any player for that matter. But Drew Brees' injury really helped him out because it gave time for the shoulder to rest throwing the ball. Okay. What you saw in 2018 was a decline and just a steady drop in his performance. Now, granted, they had Kamara back there doing some wicked and wild work from the backfield. Cool guy, by the way. But I'll put it this way. Their offense is incredibly versatile. And they bust throw. But see, what's funny about that is he's actually a really huge Brett Favre fan, and he's going to talk about quarterbacks choking. That's interesting. Anyways, so what I want to do here with Brees is, if somehow the Saints can come out of the gate early and then run the ball more rather than depend on Drew Brees, which, listen, you got Michael Thomas as a receiver. it's tempting to do that. I get it, but if there's any way they could kind of put Drees on a bridge count, Drew Brees on a pitch count. There we go. Words are hard, BP. If they could put a Drew Brees on a pitch count earlier in the season, I mean, heck, I like the look of that. And who knows? Maybe if Jameis Winston is a Saint, he throws some balls to keep him rested. I don't know. But I do like them to still win the division. They'll come in hot, they'll finish out, and they'll basically fall like they did last time. And hey, listen, Saints fans and my in-laws, say all you want about the refs. They weren't the ones that missed 2 red zone opportunities in the first quarter after turnovers were handed to you by the Rams. That's not their fault. Also not the refs' fault that you can't stop Kyle Rudolph. Ever. Not the refs' fault. Anyways. Got that off my chest too.
I just heard you step off the soapbox. I feel like we should play the General Patton theme in the background. Oh wait, wrong show. No, I agree. You know, I mean, honestly, and to the point about Matt Ryan choking. Well, there you go. Proof's in the pudding. I mean, let's flash back to the last time Atlanta played New England. So yeah.
Not Matt Ryan's fault, though. Listen, if Devontae Freeman makes his block, there's no turnover that gets the whole thing running. And we all know about the ridiculously lucky catch by Julian Edelman, like with people's foot in the thing and the bounce and the whatever the hell all that was.
Yeah. Well, and you see, and I don't think you're going to see any of that magic anymore. I think the magic has been proportionately spread about in the league now. So it's really going to kind of, be determined by who's got the guts. Who wants it more? I mean, Drew Brees has been, listen, this guy's like, you could almost not quite put the Superman shield on him, but you could put a reasonable facsimile on him. He's the guy that you kind of want to root for to do this because it's his time, and like from a fan's perspective, you really kind of want Drew Brees to win it. Now, who wouldn't want the young buck in Kansas City to go get another one? Shoot, why not? That'd be a great story. Back-to-back Super Bowls, young kid, Andy Reid finally gets one and then he gets a second one, that type of stuff. That's a great story. But what about Drew Brees? This guy, he's been consistent. He really is like the current Peyton Manning. Everybody liked the guy. They're all going to his quarterback clinics and stuff like that. Why not? Tom's in Tampa now. The magic is off. We can talk about the dynasty some other time. Give him another 2 or 3 years, and then he'll retire, and the conversation will be over. It's Drew Brees' time, right? Yeah, the fans could probably go for that. But realistically, is it going to happen? I don't know. I really don't think that he's got it to, he could get to the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're going to win it all. Winning the division, not out of the realm of possibilities right now. But, honestly, especially now with an expanded playoff, you got one more hungry team in there. Cough, cough, Tennessee Titans,
right?
Who almost ruined it. Let's think about it. That could happen. So,
as a Niner fan, who I get scared of being that hungry team is Seattle. Come on, folks. Listen, Rusty's a badass, but listen, I'll put it to you this way: you've inspired me in my Batman in the Justice League way of knowing all the weaknesses therein. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes having back-to-back Super Bowls and doing great things. Listen, your weakness, sir, is for me to remind you that D4 jumping off sides was what stopped that, not anything else.
Yeah, well, we can talk about stupid penalties all day long, but hey, at least it wasn't a cause of lethal simplicity. That could have been a death knell. Lethal simplicity. Enjoy your season, Florida Atlantic. But good luck with that. You hired him. We fired him. Thank you. But no, it's. And of course now, I'm not sure where the segue in your notes is, but all of this could be not if we start getting more results from coronavirus tests.
Yeah, too, right.
We could all be BSing our way through the season. None of this could happen.
I've completely actually avoided that on purpose because I feel like, Danny and I have been forced to talk about that. And there's relatively few updates on it today, other than if you live in Seminole County or Jacksonville, which happens to uniquely affect both of us, you're required to wear a mask. That's it. I've heard nothing say that football's canceled yet anywhere. But I listen, to this day, I'm still predicting that college football, that you see a lot of games, a lot of franchise, I shouldn't say franchises, schools canceling for the year. It's going to be a very unique thing where I think some schools are going to play and some aren't, but that's a whole other topic that we can approach at a whole other time. Man, listen, I had something else going, but since I got you here, I think this is an opportunity to have fun with a little topic, a little thing that Danny Thompson a while back brought up called the Mount Rushmore segment. Everybody see, I didn't see Precious in the audience tonight, but if you do come on, it's time for you to shine and tell us we're right or wrong. It's one of our favorite Facebook commenters during this whole piece here for the Mount Rushmore segment. And basically, BP and anybody else who hasn't seen before, what it works is a topic is given normally to me, but since I sit in the captain's, no, not that captain, but in the captain's chair proverbially, I give you a topic, you give me your Mount Rushmore for. It's very simple. We did beers before. We did tailgate foods before. We did sodas last time. This time, BP, I request of you and I know you're getting it off the cuff. That's how I normally get it. I think it's only fair. Hey, listen, this is a legal hazing maneuver. That's what I'm doing right now. But
you forget where I come from, sir.
It's the fact, my friend. It's what hazing? I do mosh pit. Whatever.
Yeah. Fire away.
Your Mount Rushmore of pizza toppings. BP, go. See, sausage on the top of the list. What else you got?
Pepperoni.
Okay.
Bell peppers.
Okay.
And then my daughter's personal favorite, the olives of all varieties, be they Spanish or black olives. But you have to be careful with the Kalamata. She doesn't like the Greek ones for some strange reason. I don't know why. It's too sour, she says.
I mean, you've seen me be plenty sour, and I'm Greek, so that works, I guess.
Exactly. Well, I'm not going to spoil the tzatziki sauce on this one. We're going to keep going. And then, of course, you can't go wrong. I'm a fat dude. Extra cheese. Because cheese is amazing. Yeah, I know some people call that a topping, but I like cheese. Like I could to this day, my favorite pizza other than like loading on top of stuff is the old pizza Bianco, where you've got the ricotta cheese and then this cheese and then that cheese, and just give me the cow and leave it here for a little while.
That's right. Hey, listen, I'm not going to front on any of that. When you say extra cheese, though, like what I liken that to is kind of like, what was it? The NFL Network did a top 10 best celebrations, like where you saw makings of things like the Dirty Bird and the Fun Bunch and all that. The thing that was number one was Barry Sanders handing the ball to the official. So like saying extra cheese is on the Mount Rushmore is kind of like the best celebration is handing the ball to an official. The best thing is something that's already essential. I don't know. But
hey, it's a non-dairy, lactose intolerant, gluten-free world, man. I mean, extra cheese is a thing.
Which is, hey, listen, if anybody listens to any show I do, whether it's here, Hilarity by Default, or Captain and Company in the morning, there's plenty of cheese that I serve up on the regular. Hey, self-deprecating humor while shamelessly plugging all three of your shows. That's talent, BP.
Hashtag Vic Anderson. Anyway, we love Vic, and there's nothing you can do about it. Hashtag Team No Relation.
Hey, by the way, side note, I'm talking about having him on Thursday night too. So hey, maybe he'll retaliate. I don't know, but
he might. Then I'll never buy him lunch again. That's for true. No more chicken for you, sir. You're up the creek. Buy your own sandwich.
There's no more egg drop soup. You cut off.
No, exactly. All right, what else you got?
Hey, listen, we'll definitely go with the staple that you got there. That's a must-have that I would have thrown things at you. But rather, let me start with what I'm glad you didn't put on there. For all these people who want to try to tell me that pineapple belongs on pizza, stop it. You're wrong, and you should feel bad for all your wrongness, okay? But you didn't have it, so I don't have a problem with you. You also had pepperoni. The word essential comes to mind, BP. I can't come up with a better word than that. See, but for me, I go a little bit different direction. As a fellow fat man in my own right, though, I am back to the 300 range, so that's a good thing. But we'll get pepperoni out of the way because it's essential. If you order pizza for a birthday party, kids or adults or whatever, whenever you go up to the corporate outing, for those of you who work in the corporate world and have an office pizza party, what are the two types of pizza they have? Cheese and pepperoni. That's why the pepperoni's on the Mount Rushmore. If you don't like it, fat me. Anyways, then my next piece, you went with bell peppers. Bell peppers, fine. I would even comfortably slide them into the honorable mention category. But for me, man, I got to get fungal. Mushrooms are where I'm at right there. And I'm not talking about these cheap things you get out of some can. No. You slice them up, you make them all nice and pretty, and you just top it all over the pizza. Let the saute happen on top of the cheese. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Spoken like a true offensive lineman. Spoken like a true offensive lineman. And then Danny says, better not say pineapple.
Support a good host gives you when you've taken the reins is to let you know, yes, sir, this is why you're my co-host. You're not a punk. You don't like pineapple on pizza. I get you.
I need to be on the show with him too now.
Hey, listen, I mean, I'm married with 2 kids. At some point, I'm going to have to be missing a day here. We'll throw that out there. But
you never know.
At any rate, so we got pepperoni. We got mushroom. Next up on the list, you said bell pepper. I give peppers their love, but I do it with a little bit more zip on the spin there, so to speak. If you don't have pepperoncinis, air quotes, aka banana peppers, you're missing out. And I put this lower on the list because this is one that's lesser known. I'm getting a first head shake from BP. I've disappointed him greatly. All I'm telling you is a thin crust pizza with pepperoni, mushroom, and banana pepper is a better time than you're giving it credit. That's all I could. All right, go ahead. You can tell me to the exact degree how wrong I am.
Listen, pepperoncinis belong in the box with the garlic sauce, all right? That's the only place they belong. They belong in proximity to pizza, but they don't belong on it. Anything else is a sin. Lightning is going to strike you the next time you're standing next to me with pepperoncinis or banana peppers. I'll let you have because, but you'd also put banana peppers on an Italian sub and get away with it. But on a pizza, you might as well just put jalapenos on it. Well, hell, habaneros at that point. I mean, if you want to put a pepper on it, put a pepper on it.
Jalapenos are pretty damn good, but let's say the damage at the end of the night to the under end of the body is not so beautiful.
No. The return trip on I-4 is not worth it.
Well played. A true Floridian reference. That's one more on I-4 we aren't willing to fight. Anyway.
We're not having that anymore anyway. Oh, no, I went there. Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh, now I'm sad. Thank you.
Yes, I know.
And on top of that, you've completely ruined Thanksgiving. It's an excuse I could use to not have to travel to New Orleans with my in-laws, and now you ruined it. Shows Bobby, cut the show off.
We're done.
But
anyway,
next up we got so we got the pepperoni, we got the bell peppers, we got the somebody shouting out chicken is cool. Bus, I respect you. That's an honorable mention, but I think it's not something you could pull out at a party because too many people are scared of it yet. It's kind of like putting Blake Griffin on a top list of NBA players. Great for, but no real accomplishment.
Salt.
Hey, you don't bring jalapenos in there without there being some heat thrown. Burn. Okay.
Oh no, there are margarita lids that were saltier than that. Oh my gosh, that was terrible, dude. Blake Griffin. He dropped the Blake Griffin bomb. Ugh.
Man, listen. Anyways, I didn't know that was going to wound you so much. I almost feel like I should apologize. But anyways,
no, don't apologize. It's a sick burn. But I'm like, really, dude? In comparison to peppers, wow. Okay.
No, it was to comparison to chicken on pizza.
Well, okay. Well, all right. I'll give you that one. Next, please.
Listen, there's a reason why I dressed as Maui for Halloween, not just because my daughter said so. I am a demigod. What can I say except you're welcome? Anyways. Pepperoni,
bell. Or my sound effects.
Pepperoni, bell peppers, and mushrooms. And last and finally, you could tell one thing you're going to learn about me, BP, is I have the ability to bloviate when I'm trying to stall. Because what this fourth topping should be, I really could go a lot of directions. Chicken at one point would have been in the conversation, but eliminated from playoffs by week 16. Okay. I can make a strong argument for broccoli, but I'm an offensive lineman. I got too much of a reputation to protect. And I don't want my wife finding out how much I actually like spinach on pizza because she'll want to get it all the damn time. And it's small doses spinach on pizza. Okay. So I'm going to have to go with you. You led with sausage. I'm going to finish with sausage. There's probably a joke in there somewhere, but that's not what this kind of a show is happening tonight. It's not doing that. But
tune in Wednesday night, 7 p.m. on rock989.com and the Rock 989 app. That's the kind of show. That's the kind of show you want to listen to.
Oh, if the plugs were any more shameless, they would star William H. Macy on Showtime. That's all.
I ain't embarrassed. Hey, it's not peer pressure. It's just your turn.
True. Hey, listen. If I reference William H. Macy, you shouldn't be embarrassed. That's Hollywood gold, son.
Absolutely not. No. Go on with it. This is the best. This is the best half hour I haven't been on. We're pushing an hour. I love it. What more you got?
No, man. Actually, this is coming up to the part. I was gonna go on a whole thing about how Teddy Bridgewater could have played in Miami and done all that, but we usually do around 50 or 60 minutes on this show. So you know what? I think we got the Mount Rushmore in. I think we both performed pretty well. Bus, you brought in some good votes, even though you're a Brett Favre fan. I'll give you that much credit. And got a lot of good interaction from the people at large. BP, I'll tell you what, before I put this thing to bed, tell all the good people of the world where you can be found.
Well, it's actually a question where I can't be found these days because I am a little bit of everywhere. But no, I am the host, the mastermind, and general manager of Backyard Rock on rock989.com. Florida's home for local and independent rock. We are the independent voice of the independent rock scene from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami. Yes, we go up and down the state covering the music that you are not hearing on corporate radio. And if you can get up early in the morning and you want to hear some sports, at least from my goofy perspective, you can hear me Monday through Friday, around about the 11 o'clock hour on Captain and Company in the morning, where I give the sports from the shores of the St. John's every week. And occasionally I'm seen with this dude and then everybody else down there from oldschool101.com, hanging out, doing some sports things in the scene from the Jaguars to NASCAR and anything else. I'm usually standing up in it. So, and if you want to reach out to me, you can hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. It's rock_989 on the socials.
Beautiful. Hey, BP, thanks for coming aboard. I had a lot of fun with it. And anyone else who didn't, I can't help you. Of course, listen, of course, we missed Danny Thompson. He was on assignment tonight. I hope I held it down well enough for you, though. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. And hey, check out my work with Captain and Company in the morning, where, hey, this guy will talk. Well, I better point the other way. This guy will talk. See, I'm usually on the right, and Danny insists on the left. So I've conditioned myself, and now I'm all messed up. This is one of the little things what happens when you take the show over for a night. And of course, this guy jumped aboard and did an excellent job. You'll see me commenting on what he had to talk about on Wednesdays usually, which means on Tuesdays you will see me on Captain and Company in the morning for oldschool101.com. I'll be there with Captain Chris Hill himself, talking various schmack about the local things of the world, probably about jokes about people not wearing masks and all that. And of course, you can see my work on Hilarity by Default, their YouTube channel, Hilarity by Default. You'll find the Default Assault podcast, where we'll talk about anything really that strikes our fancy about pop culture and such, but mostly movies, because, we can't go out and see a movie. We just got to watch them and talk about them for a while, I guess. But you'll still see plenty of fun all the way around there as well. And of course, go down, see Corey and company over at Mentality Barbershop. Everybody doing good thing. Make sure that your head is nice and shiny like Danny Thompson's when he's on the show. And of course, future beep beep smoke alarm stylings brought to you by way of the Grammy Award winning smoke alarm that was made possible by the folks at Valor, doing good things. Hey, I had fun. I hope you had fun. I'm working on coming back Thursday night to continue the thing, because listen, I'm stuck in a house with 2 kids and a wife. I need an outlet. I saw BP's face. Oh boy.
I'm out of it.
So until next time, everybody, we'll see you at Thursday night around 9 p.m. Eastern. By then, hopefully BP will refill his wine as he checks in with us here on Beyond the Buzzer. So for Danny Thompson, who's not here, Bobby Blackjack, who did an excellent job covering us from afar, the head of I-95 Sports, and everybody else who commented in, Kurt, John, Bus, I forget everybody who commented, but you were all awesome. Thank you very much. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.